Yeah, maybe fan art will help with this one. I hope so anyway, because this is going to be a very, very crappy subject. We probably need a little bit of pre-care. But we are talking about what happened in Colorado, which is going to be a heavy topic, so content warning for that. First of all, in the fan art area, we have this one from Shady Shion, said a Sonic Pride model, which goes all the way around. I think it's pretty adorable. And then the last ones we have here are from Daddy Trono 666. Said, I found the stuff I completely deleted, but one must go. Now I have to go. Can I get an Owo now jump off the map? I don't want you to jump off the map, but you will get a free Owo. Sure. Long hair and short hair version of what looks to be a teacher Suris. And then we have another one after this, which is me saying, be sure to taste your words before you spit them out, stupid swine. Every single time Trinity Tronos does artwork of me, they make me very, very angry. It's like the angry part of my personality gets channeled more than anything else. Ivana Dragmeyer, thank you for redeeming your points for an Ada. But I do like the style. The art style itself is really good, and I think it would lend itself really well to some thumbnails. Also, that looks like Vosh and Shark Zero just sitting in the back. I like it. I like the artwork. It's really good. With that said, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, if you haven't subscribed already or hit the bell notification icon, please consider doing so. And also, that one, Hazel, thank you so much for the follow. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand. So, this one is coming from WAPO. Suspect in deadly LGBTQ club shooting was subdued by patrons. Let's take a look here. Members of the LGBTQ community here were confronting a shattering sense of safety on Sunday after a gunman opened fire at a gay and lesbian nightclub Saturday night, killing at least 5 people and injuring 25 others. This, unfortunately, as tragic of an event as this is going to get used by the wrong people. How do I know that? Because the NIFB used the Pulse nightclub shooting, which was a similar mass shooting that happened at an LGBTQ-centered club, that used the Pulse nightclub shooting as the center point for their Make America Straight Again little event. Soccer Nan says LGB Alliance is also using it. Oh, really? Wow, my surprise. I wonder if everybody in the LGB Alliance knows that, like, if they're LGB and they're not T, and they're part of that alliance, I wonder if they know that, like, when all the trans people are thoroughly dealt with in their eyes, that they're the next ones that happen. Like, they're the next targets. Anytime you're in a marginal group and you find yourself, like, going against a different marginal group, I just hope you know, I hope you realize that when that marginal group goes away because of you and the actions you did, you're next. Like, that's the thing about hatred. If it doesn't have any targets, it creates more. But let's continue here. Club Q described the violence on the eve of the Transgender Day of Remembrance as a hate attack. Officials said they were investigating whether the shooting was a hate crime and that they would seek murder charges for the suspect, a 22-year-old man who was previously arrested for allegedly making a bomb threat. The suspect was in custody and being treated for injuries at a hospital Sunday morning, a police spokesperson told reporters. She declined to comment on a motive and said the FBI was assisting in the investigation. They say here's what to know. Police identified the lone suspect as Anderson Lee Aldrich. He was injured and subdued, authorities said, after firing with a long gun. Some patrons at the club confronted and fought the shooter, preventing others from being killed. At least 2 were in critical condition on Sunday. Authorities had not released the identities of the victims, and President Biden said a message of support for LGBTQ people and said the attack was a part of horrific hate violence that has plagued the country in recent years. Said gun violence continues to have devastating and particular impact on LGBTQ plus communities across our nation, and threats of violence are increasing. The former general manager of Club Q, Leon Pantoja, spent Sunday fielding calls and messages from and about former employees, many of whom had been hospitalized with gunshot wounds. He said, "I had to deal with a lot of phone calls and a lot of people crying this morning." DJ T-Beats, who was shot in the stomach and appendix, underwent surgery and was recovering Sunday. A gay bartender, a transgender bartender, and a longtime club donor were also among those shot. Pantoja also spoke to the current manager, who was the current general manager, who was at the club during the shooting. The dead include bartender Daniel Aston, who was 28, of Colorado Springs, and according to his mother. Aston said that we just found out today. Aspen is 67. She's a retired respiratory therapist. She said that on the phone from her home in Colorado Springs. Aston said her and her husband were notified Sunday morning when a detective and patient advocate came to the couple's house. Said we're not sure what happened to Daniel. He was heading outside toward the patio to smoke, which I'd been telling him not to. I guess he got caught in the crossfire. Some guys jumped on the shooter and saved people. Unfortunately, it wasn't Daniel. He never made it to the hospital. So this person got victims well outside of their intended targets. They didn't just get people inside of the club. They got people from outside the club as well. That's horrifically fucked up. That officials across Colorado and United States expressed horror at the violence and sent their condolences. Colorado Governor Jared Polis said the shooting was a horrific, sickening, and devastating. In a statement on Sunday, Polis, the first openly gay governor in the country, thanked the first responders and people at Club Q who blocked the gunman. He said, "Colorado stands with our LGBTQ community and everyone impacted by this tragedy as we mourn." Later Sunday, his office said in a news release that he had ordered flags lowered at half-staff on all public buildings statewide from sunrise tomorrow morning until sunset on November 26, 2022, to honor and remember the victims of the horrific shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs. And then a rabbi holds interfaith service to make space for the grief. Calls to 911 show frantic emergency response. Woman recovering in lockdown hospital after being shot twice. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff that happened in regards to this event, as fucked up as it is. But we have to talk about motivation. We have to talk about the person who actually did this. Because while on the one hand, not saying the name of the shooter and not making them more well-known and all of this stuff is important for lowering the rate of violence later on. Once all that information has been made public, once all of that's already happened, it's important to take some time to actually figure out why people do the things they do. It's important to figure out why these tragedies happen. So let's go in, look a little bit more about what we might know about the shooting. This is an article from CPR.org. Said what we know. Anderson Lee Aldrich, who was 22, entered Club Q, an LGBTQ club in Colorado Springs, and began shooting people with a rifle. 5 people died, 19 people were injured. 2 people fought with Aldrich and stopped him from continuing to shoot. Aldrich was arrested shortly after midnight. We don't know the motive behind the shooting. At least that's where we are at right now. This is way too cheery music for this. Thank you, Shadow the Hedgehog soundtrack. That works as well, I guess. Colorado Springs police reduced the number of persons injured in the Saturday fatal mass shooting at Club Q. Let's see here. Police originally said 5 people were killed and 25 were injured when Anderson Lee Aldrich went into the club a little before midnight and opened fire. The city reduced the number of injured in a noon release. The release said 17 were injured by gunshot, 1 was injured but not by gunshot, and 1 was a victim with no visible injuries. And see, a district court has agreed with a request from prosecutors to seal the arrest affidavit in the Club Q shooting. District Attorney Brent Nelson filed the request to seal yesterday with the court, arguing that releasing the information could jeopardize the ongoing case investigation. The court ordered the record sealed until the investigation is complete, and the court orders the record unsealed after that point. Did you count the talk? He says the perp is only 2 years younger than me. This is horrific. Yeah. More people are getting indoctrinated into causing this kind of violence. And while we don't have a definitive link, there is information that we need to look at outside of this as well, like what family influences the guy might have had, what spaces he hung out in, what rhetoric he imbibed that led him to be this way. More information for this is going to come out as things go forward. But you have to wonder, like, this is an awful, terrible, fucked up tragedy. So, what brings a person to think about doing these things? What leads someone to want to take not only human life, but this much human life? And this specific kind of human life? So it's just that hard to process while also keeping the empathy from going into overdrive. Is that in this case probably culty hateful environment? It could be. But there's more stuff that goes on with this particular individual as well. Apparently, videos show Lee Aldrich, Anderson Lee Aldrich, threatening to blow mom's house to holy hell. Today I die, that's what happens. Anderson Lee Aldrich can be seen saying in one of several videos from 2021 provided to the Daily Beast. When mass shooting suspect Lee Aldrich pulled up last year to the home in Colorado Springs where his mom was living, Laura Vopel herded her 2 dogs into their crate and scrambled outside to help her son with his suitcase. As the 2 headed back towards the door, Aldrich could be heard saying in security camera footage obtained by the Daily Beast, "Today I die, that's what happens. They don't give a fuck about me anymore, really." The fuck?
Crazy. What's going on? Please answer the phone. Call me. Help. Hey. This is the house. Our house. Their house. Okay. Come on, girls. Go to bed.
Okay, so that's the herding of the dogs.
They don't give a fuck about me anymore.
Wait, this is where I stand today. He literally just says that as part of casual conversation.
They don't give a fuck about me anymore. They don't give a fuck about me anymore. Clearly.
Like, I don't understand. There's a lot of context missing here. Moments earlier, as her son arrived, Volvo could be seen on security fit in her kitchen talking on the phone. Mom, Andy's out front going crazy, she said. What's going on? Please answer the phone. Call me. Help. In a separate video from that day, which was live streamed to Facebook by Vopel and provided to the Daily Beast by a source close to the family, Aldrich can be seen inside, wandering from room to room in a tactical helmet, bulletproof vest, and carrying a long black object in his hands. This is your boy, Aldrich says, amped up and breathing heavily. I've got the shitheads outside. Look at that. They've got a bead on me. They've got their fucking rifles out. If they breach, I'm gonna fucking blow it to holy hell. So, go ahead and come in, boys. Let's fucking see it. The hell?
This is your boy. I've got the fucking shitheads outside. Look at that. They got a bead on me. You see that right there? Fucking shitheads got their fucking rifles out. If they breach, I'm gonna fucking blow it to holy hell. So, go ahead and come on in, boys. Let's fucking see it!
This is a person who's not okay. 3 hours later, Aldrich surrendered to heavily armed police who descended on the neighborhood after Vopel called 911 and said her son was threatening to cause harm to her with a homemade bomb, multiple weapons, and ammunition. According to a press release issued at the time by El Paso County's Sheriff's Department. Aldrich was booked on 2 counts of felony menacing and 3 counts of first-degree kidnapping, but cops said at the time they never found any explosives on Aldrich and he was never formally charged. Okay, so that's him getting taken in. We don't really get any other information besides that. Seriously, sounds like someone who's been indoctrinated into believing the LGBTQ is ruining his life. And he's probably had a damaging childhood. Well, and we also see that he doesn't live with his parents. He lives... It sounded almost like... live with his grandparents? I mean, she was calling his grandparents in the thing. On Monday, Aldrich was preliminarily charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder. Okay, so this is just before midnight on Saturday. A man identified by authorities as Anderson Lee Aldrich walked into Club Q, an LGBTQ night spot in Colorado Springs, and opened fire. 5 people died in the attack, and 25 were injured. On Monday, he was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and 5 counts of bias-motivated crimes, including bodily injury, according to court records first reported by the Colorado Springs Gazette. District Attorney Michael Allen later said the charges filed Monday will likely be updated when formal charges are eventually filed with the court. Once Aldrich is released from the hospital, where he is recovering from unspecified injuries, he will appear before a judge by video and will not be eligible for bail. The devastation of this violent act has had in our community cannot be measured. Okay, so most of this is information we've already seen before. And now it's talking about... Okay, Aldrich's grandfather, Vopel's father, is Randy Vopel, a so-called MAGA Republican in Southern California who lost his state assembly seat this year after being primaried by a more moderate female candidate. Let's see. We have some information on that. Who is Randy Vopel? Colorado's suspect grandfather is a MAGA Republican. Let's see here. I don't care about the video. We've got the actual article right here. California MAGA Republican Assemblyman Randy Vopel is the grandfather of Colorado Springs shooting suspect Anderson Lee Aldrich, according to media reports. Colorado Springs police arrested Aldrich, 22, following a mass shooting at the LGBT club venue Club Q on Saturday that left 5 people dead and 25 injured. Multiple media reports, including the San Diego Union Tribune, showed Aldrich's mother is Laura Vopel, daughter of the 72-year-old California state assemblyman. Newsweek found social media posts made by Laura Vopel where she praised her father's public service. In April, Laura said, "Keep up the good work, Dad. You work hard to improve our lives." Randy was previously condemned over comments he made where he compared the January 6th riot at the Capitol to American Revolutionary War. Just 3 days after the riot, Randy Vopel told the Union Tribune, "This is Lexington and Concord. First shots fired against tyranny." Oh. That, Those are some weird things to say. I'm not gonna say that parental and grandparent influence always trickles down all the way, but I'm sorry, but if you have those kinds of words, if you've been in power and that's the kind of rhetoric that you utilize, I'm sorry, but I'm less surprised that your grandson involved himself in a horrific act of violence. Because you're the type of person who will excuse a horrific act of violence. Vopel also showed his support for Donald Trump in a January 2017 Twitter post. Okay, let's see here. I don't care much about all of his political history. Let's see. Before Vopel entered politics, he served 2 tours in the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam War. It's very strange that assaulting the Capitol is something he deems as a good idea then. Newswink has contacted Vopel's office for comment. In a news briefing on Sunday, Colorado Springs police said the motive for the shooting was not known and that investigations were being carried out to determine if it was a hate crime. Despite a motive for the shooting having not been confirmed by the police, New York Democrat Representative AOC called out Republican Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert for her anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. On Sunday, Boebert said on Twitter, "The news of Colorado Springs is absolutely awful. The mourning victims and the families are in my prayers. This lawless violence needs to end quickly." But Ocasio-Cortez responded, "You've played a major role in elevating anti-LGBTQ plus hate crimes and hate rhetoric and anti-trans lies while spending your time in Congress blocking even the most common-sense gun safety laws. You don't get to thoughts and prayers your way out of this. Look inward and change." So we've got, of course, we're in Labyrinth Zone now with all of this shit. So we've got a horrific act of violence, a MAGA family, and what is obviously a hate crime happening in an LGBTQ known venue on a mass scale, and a history of unrest from a single individual. This screams to me of someone who has been indoctrinated, has been isolated, and has never been given the help that they need to actually get better. Or, alternatively, we're talking about just a monster. I don't know. We don't, Marissa says, "For all I know, the mother and grandfather encouraged the attack." We don't know that. We know the grandfather is not the most politically great guy, it seems. We don't have any real information on the mother except support for her family one way or the other. And then we've got a 22-year-old who's got a shit ton of blood on his hands. And we've got a bunch of people that are never coming back. Guys, I'm going to say this right now, and I've said it before, but when you let anti-LGBTQ rhetoric slide, it breeds this kind of environment, this kind of hatred for minority groups who've never done anything to you. It grows and festers and boils under society's skin the longer that we let it do that. And it's not just a mental health thing, because it's not that there are people who need mental health help specifically, and that's why they do these things. It's more that there are people in this world who get indoctrinated into hateful cult-like rhetoric and they end up isolating themselves in echo chambers where they believe that if they just do this one amazing thing, it will lead to societal change. And to them, an amazing thing is mowing down the enemy. We saw this with the Christchurch shooting. We're seeing it here. When I say this person needs help, I'm not saying that this person has mental health problems that need to be addressed and that's why he did the shooting. I'm saying that something happened to exacerbate this person. Some type of rhetoric was imbibed, some type of societal pressures were put on. Because people don't do these types of actions out of the blue. They don't do them randomly. They do them randomly. As in, they don't do them randomly from the individual stance, but they certainly do them stochastically when the rhetoric is not being combated properly, when it's being allowed to fester, when it's being allowed to propagate. So Bober should step down over her role as a stochastic terrorist. Didn't Bober lose? Hold on. Oh, no. No, Bober didn't lose. Bober won. Yep. No, Bobert stayed in. Said Adam conceded and threw Wednesday after 8 days. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But this shit, it gets under my skin. Because we're seeing more and more of it. And it's not just that the news is chasing what bleeds and reads. Statistically, it's happening more. Like, let me see here. Hold on. LGBTQ plus... Let's see. Hate crimes by year. What do we have at the moment? We have a dip that slowly... okay, allow all... Sure, Statista. U.S. hate crimes at new decade high as of 2020. We had a dip, and then in 2015 and 2016, something happened, and then hate crimes started going up. Slowly but surely. And then they should have gone down at the end of 2020 to coincide with more people being inside with the pandemic, and they've started to go back up again as we've had more people going outside and existing as normal. You have to ask yourself, what kind of an environment are we breeding for ourselves? What kind of a world are we shaping for ourselves and our kids and everyone else when this kind of hateful rhetoric, anti-LGBTQ stuff, is allowed to happen more and more often under the name of, well, it's free speech. Yeah, I get it. Free speech. What the fuck ever. Why are we okay with it? Why are we okay with that? Why is that our line? Why is that the thing that is allowed in our circle of humanity? It feels weird to me. Because this type of stuff happening more and more often, it reeks of an actual societal corrosion in the way that Republicans try to argue that LGBTQ people existing is a societal corrosion. But they don't want to do anything about the rampant gun violence in the country, and they certainly don't want to do anything about the proliferation of anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. So ultimately, what do Republicans want to happen here? What do they want to do about any of this? And a lot of times the answer there is not a whole lot. I think most Republicans are okay with the state of affairs. when you get to brush off every single tragedy as a thoughts and prayers moment, as a moment to get in front of the cameras and mourn the victims, and then the cycle will continue and nothing is ever done about it. It hurts. Because it feels like the older you get, the more clued into that reality you are, and the more that reality sinks in for you. But I don't know. I guess this is where I gotta throw it back to you guys. What do you think? What do you think we do about any of this? I'm gonna be honest, Lunember, I'm gonna do that redeem after the segment. I don't feel that's super appropriate right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Insert end of video tagline here.